So when you look at the ruins of G7, and I use the ruins word liberally, it doesn't make for an auspicious, optimistic view of growth in my mind.
I'm not sure whether you'd go from sort of political differences to sort of the ruins of economic growth. And the reason is very simple, that actually the animal spirits may very well start to be kicking in. It's very clear that, Europe is going to have to pay up more for particularly its own defense. It can't rely on the United States that much more. And I think concrete bills for how much more are going to be presented over the next couple of months. But conversely, a little bit more animal spirits, like Angela Merkel said, yes, we're going to take things into our own hands, and that means that European companies are going to have to start to invest a little more.
Taking it into their own hands, what does that mean to you when you say invest a little bit more? Do you mean rather than building new plants in the United States of America where you sell your BMWs, your Daimler and your Audis, and building more in Europe? I mean, if Trump goes down the tariff road, bit of folly there, no?
It is interesting, right? Because I think that, you sort of mentioned one of the key words in terms of actual economic policy. And, in terms of, building walls, increasing tariffs, et cetera, there's a threat of that. But actual delivery, we shall see. The other thing that's very interesting, and this is, to bring it back from Europe to where I'm sitting here in Tokyo, in Japan, actually the relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Abe, between Japan and the United States, that actually is a relationship that's going from strength to strength.
It is going from strength to strength. And actually, the economy from where you sit right there, Jesper, as well, is strong. And you say that domestic capex story, the growth story, is accelerating. And you've had a look at some of the Nikkei surveys as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I sit here in Tokyo and you see a healthy banking system. You see corporations that are getting their animal spirits back. You've got a trustworthy politician. Whatever you think of Abe, he is going to be in power for at least the next 2 or 3 years, and he is pro-business. In Europe, the key challenge is endogenous domestic growth. Don't rely on the United States of America. Don't rely on exports. There's all sorts of things that may or may not happening in the global world, but Europe's going to have to get a stable banking system, is going to have to get employment growth, is going to have to get those structural reforms going so that European business leaders, whether they're large companies or small companies, say, yes, we want to reinvest in Europe, which unfortunately right now you don't see.
Yes, but I would love to share your optimism. But I've been hearing the same old story for 10 years. Or is it that the fear of Brexit, the loathing of Trump to global deals, is that enough to invoke fundamental change in the economic patterns of Europe? Because thus far, it took them to go to the brink of bankruptcy of one country, and that didn't change their ways.
You put your finger on the pulse here. I think that certainly Angela Merkel is playing her cards very well, because she's saying we can't rely on America anymore. We are going to have to do things on our own. Vote for me. That's really what she's saying, because she says she's the pragmatist, not the populist. The question is, do you get Euronomics? You know how you got Abenomics or Trumpnomics, whatever, but we need to get a unified structural growth policy in Europe with the stable leadership in France and the stable leadership in Germany acting together to excite the private business people to invest.